views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Hi, welcome. This is Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
The following audio is via a Skype call.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me, busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail. Hey, everybody. What an exciting time we live in. I'm so excited. Why am I so excited? I just got done doing our fabulous, welcome to the new year message. And, I think I went through it by doing maybe 5 or 6 takes. Then I had my little battery operated talking dog that started to laugh during that. Then my snowman fell over, or I don't know, maybe snow person fell over. And all of the above was such a really good time. It was so fun. And then to think about it, Linda wanted me to cut all that out. No way. Well, guess what? We're not cutting anything out today. Welcome to this show, Shifting Reality, a personal story of transformation with my very special person joining me here today, my co-host for today, Janice Underwood. For those of you out there, let me just tell you a little bit about Janice, because you're gonna learn more throughout this show. How is it that some of us say yes to our lives? We go down a pathway, we go to school, we study maybe even engineering, but then all of a sudden something happens. And we find ourselves with these very, very deep backgrounds, now looking at how do I help others? How do I help others heal? How do I help others understand their past? How do I help others, understand the power of their thinking and their thoughts? That's Janice Underwood. And today you're going to hear about her own spiritual journey. Yeah, just like a lot of us, that brought her from the bowels of pain to some place beautiful, exciting, and a super creator energy. Janice, welcome to the show. It's great to have you here.
So good to talk to you today, Dr. Pat. It's always a lot of fun. I love it.
I want to there's a couple of things that are really important to exploring this journey with you. I think the thing that I've really been reflecting upon today has been, when have I seen signs of things? Mm-hmm. And, I'm really good at seeing signs of things for other people, not so good at seeing signs of things for myself. But I wanted to ask you, you have been on a journey which has enabled you to have an accelerated version of your talents, your gifts, and your passion come to the forefront to help others. What was that journey like? And why do we call it a journey when sometimes it's super painful?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say, first off, if you were to ask my parents about a trait that I have, it's that they would label it as stubborn. And I would say that when I do something, I do it 150%. Not all the time is that the best way to do something, but for me, especially when I was shifting to such a linear, from a linear life to, I don't even know what it was back then to me. I mean, it was just so unknown and unreal at times. That stubbornness, I guess.
Yeah.
That fortitude is really what gave me the strength to keep going. And, I was thinking about this show about an hour ago, and I was thinking, this is really about making room for the soul. How do we make room for our soul to play in the world? And it can be very painful. So one of the missions I have in life is to make it less painful for the people that are new on their journey, or they're going to another level of the unknown. It's like, if you were to ask me what keeps me up at night and what motivates me to get out of bed in the morning, it's that. I want to make this journey kinder than it was for me.
Mm-hmm. I didn't start talking about my journey till, oh my gosh, I think it was 2012 or something, which was almost 10 years into my first introduction to this thing we're calling talk radio. Of course, now we call it positive talk radio. But for you, did you have an inner sense at a young age that there was something calling you forward? And the reason I ask that question is because I can remember times of not being afraid when I should have been afraid, and then having these other gut feelings, even as a young child, where I felt really different.
I did. And you know what would startle me the most were the people that would come over to me and they would just start talking to me. I'm 7, 8, 10 years old, and they are revealing all of their pain in their life. We're talking adults. And I'm looking at them like, I'm a kid. What are you talking to me about this for? And that just happened over and over again. And I would have these extreme understandings of what they were going through. Even though I'm such a young kid, I would really understand the pain. And as I got older, I started learning about empath and what that meant. And then I realized that, oh my gosh, I was such an empath, but it also made me really good in taking care of my siblings, for example, because I could anticipate their needs. I have a great timing with cooking, for example. So as a young kid, I had a great understanding of how to time things out. And my mom would be all, how do you do that? And so there were certain things about the world that were easier for me, but then there were also things that hurt me deeply, like seeing a kid on the playground suffering, or people being mean to other kids. That tore me apart. And so going to school was really hard for the first few years. I think that when I was young, I definitely felt that I was different, and even different within my family, but I didn't know how.
I was talking earlier this morning with someone and talking about what it means to shift a perception. I get to choose my perception of things, but I will tell you that I didn't always understand that perception was a choice. I lived a large part of my early years thinking that people were doing things, to me. Right. What did you have to do to look inside yourself and to find the truth of you? Not that it was lost, but, sometimes I think our truth gets a little lazy.
It hides. It's like a turtle, right? It goes into the shell and it's like, I'm done. I'm not coming out. Oh, gosh. I was watching someone, and I wish I could remember his name, but I was watching someone, and he said, a lot of times you can find your purpose through your biggest heartbreak. And so he's like, what is your biggest heartbreak? And mine has always been relationship with people. Always, always, always. You want to see me brokenhearted? Just put me in a relationship that's not working. That tears at my soul like I can't even describe it. And so for me, it was going to work environments and meeting people and really getting along with them until we didn't. And then, okay, like a lot of people, well, it's the job, it's the people. I'll just get a new job. And then I'd go to a new job, and there was the cast of characters. They were all there again.
Yeah.
And so I just did this in my career and did this over and over again until I finally just stopped one day and said, okay, it's got to be me. And then my heart sank like, what? Me? What are you talking about? No, it's them. And that's where I had to dig in, because I was on the verge of, I even had a panic attack at work, and I just had enough. People seemed to be trying to, move their career politically and throwing me under the bus and things like that. And it was just too much for me to bear. So one day, one of my managers has to take me to the hospital because I'm having a panic attack, which I thought was a heart attack. And I'm like 30 something. So I think for me, those moments, those years were the ones that made me stop and start looking at the world a little differently of what is an emotion. And I loved that you said that you didn't know that you could choose perception at one point in time. Well, I didn't know that I could choose emotions at that point in time. I thought they just took over me and that was it. I didn't have anything to say about it.
Yeah. I had someone explain things to me for a while early on. I'm pretty active in a little sport that I do. Mm-hmm. And maybe you can help me. You're the one that I should be talking to about this, Janice. And I love this thing that I do. It's like a kid, right? If you say to a kid, oh, here's your first bicycle, and they ride it, and they ride it, and ride it, and they fall, that doesn't matter. They get up and ride it again. Mm-hmm. So I play this sport, table tennis, and I play the sport, get cramps, really, really painful cramps. And I think that I'm doing everything in my power, right? And for a while, my brain was like, oh my gosh, Pat, you really can't play. Don't do that. So I went to the pain of it. And so I don't remember when it was, but I think I mentioned this to you a while back. A little light bulb went on that says, choose a different thought. Choose a different thought. Focus on the thing you love. Look at a different level of awareness. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, Janice is going to share with us is how that new level of awareness, how that's standing in the truth of who she is, how being said to, hey, I think you're a fill in the blank, changed her life. Let's take a short break, everyone. Yep, this is it. All of us, we all get them names. But what's Janice's? Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Winning at the game of money. Lynn Brown is now offering Full Spectrum Finance, a progressive 12-month program that will help you to navigate through the mechanics of financial expansion. Finally, a financial planner who looks at the full spectrum of money and abundance. Engage you in the mental, physical, and energetic aspects of finance. This is Full Spectrum Finance. Are you ready to get into it? For more information, go to fullspectrumfinance.com.
How would you like increased health and vitality? How would you like to avoid the onset of disease as well as slow the aging process? This is all possible through a simple, safe, and natural process. Every day we are either moving toward wellness or away from wellness.
Hi, I'm Mary Jane Mack. I'd like to be your partner in achieving optimal health. Contact me now at maryjanemack.com or call 425-392-0659. Visit maryjanemack.com.
Best-selling author, spiritual life, and business coach Joe Nunziata brings his higher energy and no-nonsense style to people who are ready to make powerful changes now. Wake up, step up, power up with a shot of Joe. Join Joe the second and fourth Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern for 30 minutes of high energy, no nonsense, and powerful tools to make powerful changes. Visit joenuns.com. That's JOENUNZ.com.
Your happiness is your choice on Natural Peace Radio. Follow Sarah Van Ryswick as she addresses the power of emotions. Each month, Sarah covers different topics as she helps listeners activate their energetic spark and create powerful energy and amazing opportunities. Manifest your desires with Natural Peace Radio. For more information on Sarah and her work, visit naturalpeaceliving.com.
Integrate spirituality into your everyday lives on Universe Soul Heart Radio. Tune in each month on Transformation Talk Radio as Kathleen Johnson explores the concept of sensible spirituality, keeping you grounded, connected, and centered on the path to wholeness. Kathleen has dedicated her life to facilitating holistic healing and wholeness in others. Listen to Universe Soul Heart Radio and learn how to flourish, grow, and impact all we do on planet Earth. For more information, go to universesoulheart.net.
Are you stuck in unhealthy habits, toxic relationships, or low self-esteem? Do you crave a life of inspiration, love, self-acceptance, and fun? Sounds like you're on the verge to your next big thing. Join Laura Richer, host of On the Verge Radio, helping you use your breakdown for a breakthrough, overcome life's greatest challenges, and live the life you want and deserve. Tune in each month on Transformation Talk Radio or visit SeattleHealingHypnosis.com for more information.
Wow. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Before we get rolling here, I want to just a couple things. Janice Underwood is my very special co-host today, joining me. We're telling a story. It's about a journey. It's about how we say yes to the truth of who we are. But before we do, how can people find out more about you? How can they find out about the Life Creator System as well, which we're going to talk about today, too?
Yes. So my website is janiceunderwood.com. And they can also find me on YouTube at Real Life, Real Changes. And there, I'm so excited about this. I do the Creator Wisdom Nuggets, and that's just a lot of fun. So, and they can also call me or email me, but all that info is on the website.
Awesome. Okay. So you and I probably have had a few labels in our lives, right? Mm-hmm. Some of us are called, provocative. Some of us are called adventurous. Some of us are called unapproachable. Some of us are called healers. Some of us are called, it's a label. What's the box? But you have stepped into the world and you decided to pick up the phone and call a what?
Yeah. One day I called a psychic. Now, back then, I was still in an engineering job. So I thought I had completely lost my mind and I needed to call the hospital before I called the psychic. I really did. It was a really big stretch, but I'll tell you, I had a dear friend and still have him in my life, here and there as our paths have diverged. But he was just amazing to work with. And one day he took me out to lunch and, that panic attack I just told you about. Well, what followed that were some, let's just say, not so pleasant moments between me and my managers. And he said, look, I got to tell you something. I got your back, right? And I'm like, yeah. He's well, I'm just going to have to say this. And I'm drinking, by the way, I'm drinking some tea.
Yeah.
And the guy who's with us is drinking his drink. And so he proceeds to spit it out. As my friend says, Janice, people think you're a bitch. You're going to get fired.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? I'm like, huh? Me, who's overly sensitive about the world, I'm the one that has this problem? And it was really a shock. And I just sat there and the guy has spit out his drink. I've swallowed mine so hard that now my throat hurts. And he said, look, I know that that's not you, but how you're handling this situation is not helpful. And we had this most quiet ride back to work because I really didn't know. I couldn't even fathom that people thought of me that way. I just couldn't. And it broke my heart because all I wanted to do was do a good job. All I wanted to do was show up for people, and I wanted our programs to work. That's really what I wanted. That's all I wanted in life. That's why I showed up today.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was that moment. And, shortly after, some really interesting things happened. So I decided to connect in. I went to one of the bookstores in near me, and I found this book. It was like, have you ever been to a bookstore and a book is just glaring at you?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
So the book was called "Excuse Me, Your Life is Waiting." So I took it off the shelf, and it was at a great level for me because I'm still, in an engineering mindset. And it was a nice, lovely book that told me that I didn't have to let my emotions run my life. Mm-hmm. And that's how this journey started, was with that one book. and then a little teleseminar series, and then going to yoga, and then working on relationships in a different way. And it was such a turning point, but I was so scared because it seemed like every time I started shifting my perception, I was seeing more about myself that I couldn't handle. And so it was a rocky journey in the beginning, because I also was, a mom of young kids, and I had a full life going, and my job was a little stressful, and there was just a lot of stuff I was juggling. And now to add on, I might not know who I really am. That's hard.
Wow. I mean, that is really a moment where you step into a truth that's unfamiliar. Mm-hmm. We're not really talking about a truth that some of us grow up with and, we can see. But, at some point in time, somebody said something to me like, and really, this is what they said, you're really lying to yourself. And I thought, what? They said, you're really lying to yourself. You've decided to live a life that is mediocre. And I just thought, wait a minute, I am a successful executive. I mean, I had my list. Mm-hmm. My list. What do you mean mediocre? And I think what people were saying, and I get a sense that you know what I mean, is I am settling within myself, not in the eyes of the public. I'm settled. I'm in a place where I know I can do better in the world by helping others do better, and I'm not doing it. Yeah. And that's a harsh sentence or statement for somebody to say, but it was really true.
Yeah. And it's hard. Shortly after that moment, I did something very scary. I decided that I had a hard time speaking in public. I could do one-on-one pretty well. I took advantage of Toastmasters at my place of work. And it's funny because when we say yes to things, so I've already read the book and I've done some little teleseminars, and now I'm getting ready to go into Toastmasters. And in one of the very first meetings that I'm there, this guy walks in. He's not even part of our culture there, just because we had one of those open groups. So anybody could come into our meetings and join us. And so he walks in from the street and listens to a couple, like my first couple of speeches, and walks over one day and says, "Hey, you ever heard of NLP?" And I'm like, "I'm sorry, what?" And that to me was one of the first signs, going back to signs, was I was asking now, hey, help me see the things that I cannot see. And I'm willing. I'm here at Toastmasters. Every time I stand up in front of these people, my throat closes up, but I'm here. And it's funny because then we do start getting the signs of, you're on the right track. And so with that, I found a new community and some little, freebie workshops for a little while, and then decided to do practitioner training. And it was in all of that time that as I kept saying yes, new things would evolve that were as gentle as they could be at that time. But just like you said, there were things that I just didn't see. I just didn't. And it was hard every time my perception would shift. And so by the time that I'm picking up the phone to call the psychic, this other weird thing happens with a Reiki person who I go and I get an attunement because for some reason I'm drawn to that. And I set up an appointment because in my work environment, people are saying things like angels. And then on the TV, I would walk home and turn something on. And it would be at a moment where this kid was holding up a poster board, a kid that was really sick. And it was one of his last videos he made before he died, and it said, "Do you believe in angels?" Just stuff like that started happening. So then I started thinking, okay, now I'm crazy in a different way.
Yeah.
So, I make an appointment with this woman, and I go in, and she's like, "Why are you here?" And I'm like, "Well, for the appointment." She goes, "Yeah, you have the same energy I do. I can't do anything for you." I'm like, "Well, why am I here?" She's the one that gave me so I told her what was going on with all these signs, and she gave me the name of this person and said, "Call her. She'll be able to help you." It still took me about 6 weeks to call her, though, because why would I call a person like that?
Well, that's exactly it. I mean, why would you call a person like that? And, it's funny, you and I are sitting here saying that now, we're kind of chuckling about it.
We are.
But I don't know about you. It was a little scary for me to explore that pathway.
Yes,
right?
For me as well. I didn't know.
Right.
I didn't know. But, she did turn out to be a blessing because at that time, that would have been late 2011, and I knew that I needed to make some life changes. And I knew that they were coming, and it was nice because I had someone who could confirm this. So that would be the first time that I really understood that I had intuition and that I had been using it and that I was on par with the changes I needed to make.
We're going to talk about when we come back, what happens when we do follow the guidance. I know, for me, following the guidance not only takes courage, but I think this is something that you're going to be able to relate to as well. Sometimes it means, and I'm putting this mildly, letting go. In a number of cases, I know Janice and I are going to talk about this, sometimes it means losing it all. And I remember, Janice, reading a book that somebody gave me by a woman by the name of Catherine Ponder. And it was, what was that? Dynamic Laws of Prosperity. And I remember in the book, and I read this book and I thought, oh my God, you got to be kidding me. Really? You want me to read this thing? And I remember reading it, and she talked about how emptying out your closets, the metaphor, which means losing it all. The universe cannot stand a vacuum. So it's essential. When we come back, we're going to talk about what does losing it all mean, and what has Janice Underwood learned about how to stand tall, stand in the truth, know that loss is simply a word, pick it up, move on, and create something amazing. We're going to take a short break, everyone. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Don't you wish you had more joy in your life? Check out the new book by Robert Max Schoenfeld, For the Love of Joy, a 30-day adventure for creating joy in your life, because you deserve more joy, more love, more health, more abundance, and more life. Available now on Amazon. Get your copy today. Visit theartofpowerfulliving.com. That's theartofpowerfulliving.com.
Are you searching? Looking for a sign? A message you need to hear? From the great unknown? From the most mysterious place that is the most familiar to your soul in the depths of who you are? The universe put someone here to talk to, someone God gave a blessing to, that you may find insight with. TheAngelLady.net. 1-800-323-1790.
In this day and age, if you don't reinvent yourself, you may never find balance, peace, and the sustainable life that is your birthright. Angela Watson Robertson, known as the Reinvention Warrior and the host of breakthrough radio show Masters of Reinvention, is here to help you reinvent every area of your life. Tune in and hear from the best in the personal transformation business and discover tips and tools for positive change. Live every month on Transformation Talk Radio.
Be you plus live your purpose equals joy. That's the motto of Unstuck Joy with Vicki Todd. Vicki believes you were born with gifts that are meant to make the world brighter. Each show will feature an art visioning journal prompt to help you create your way to soul clarity. If you're ready to get unstuck and create more joy, this show is for you.
Tune in the first and third Tuesday at 3 p.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio. For more information, visit VickiWorldArt.com.
The Janice Underwood Show, helping you create the life you want, not the life you tolerate. Tune in each Monday, 9 a.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio as Janice delves into the Life Creator System and the next step in your spiritual evolution. Janice Underwood is gifted at helping spiritually minded people shift their mindsets to unleash the creator within. Our souls wish to wake us up. Those of us listening hear the call. Do you? For more information, visit JaniceUnderwood.com.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show, talk radio to thrive by. I am so thrilled to be talking to all of you. We have got talk radio for all of us. Are you ready and willing and able to accept all of the abundance you can muster up in your life? Check us out, thedrpatshow.com, transformationtalkradio.com, transformationradio.fm. Oh my goodness.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Janice Underwood is joining me here today. Janice, two things. One, how can people find out more about your radio show? How can they find out more about you? And also, how can they really contact you to work with you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they can go to janiceunderwood.com and they can go to the contact page for my information. And then to find the radio show, they can go to transformationtalkradio.com. And also they can go to the radio tab on janiceunderwood.com.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about the radio show in a minute and what door that opened for you. Listen, during the break, we were chit-chatting a little bit, and I said, there is a fundamental difference. I think you actually said it. There's a difference between losing it all and letting it go. Losing it all, letting go of it all. And we were talking about that. I want to know someone that knows what it's like to lose it all. What's the difference between losing it all and letting it go? And what is losing it all? Where does it come from?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my belief in that is that when we hold on to things too long, and especially for those of us who are intuitive, and we're all intuitive, but those of us who are really contemplating making some big changes, we know the timing of things. And sometimes it's still hard to let them go. So we can wait another year, or we try to hold on, to a job that's not working or a relationship that's not working. And if we hold on too long, the universe, because I believe it serves us, right? It's always supporting us. Sometimes we lose that very abruptly and in very strange circumstances most of the time because we've just let it go too long. And, so my childhood was more of that. Like my dad would go into these phases of just losing everything. And before I knew it, instead of having a home to sleep in, we'd be sleeping in the car or on a floor in one of my grandparents' home. That was losing it all. And so maybe as a child, I learned, you don't want to do that one.
Right.
So when 2012 comes around and I finally have the courage to call this woman, and she's normally booked. Okay, so she calls me within 5 minutes after I call her. And she's all, wow, I just happened to be here. Sure. And I'm normally booked 6 months in advance, but I just had a cancellation yesterday for next Saturday. Do you want that appointment? And I'm going inside, no. And so, I'm starting to trust that, I'm on the right path. So I'm all yes. So I have this conversation with her that, I had written down all the questions that I wanted to ask her, and I never had to ask her any of them. She answered all of them. And it was all about the inklings that I had. And I knew I had to let go. Because I knew just somehow deep inside, I knew that my life wasn't working as it was, designed, as I had designed it at that point in time. And, but it was hard. And somehow or another, she really hit all of the points of, yeah, you're getting ready. I mean, there's this new chapter ahead of you. You're going to move into hypnosis. You're going to do all of these things. But yeah, you got to sell your house. You've got to move on from this situation. And it was really heartbreaking because I knew it was the truth. And that started 2012. And not only did I leave a relationship and sell my house and break my kids' hearts in moving them out of the only home that they had known, to move into a really small space. But I started hypnosis school and still had my job, to support us. But it was just this unraveling of a life that I had put together, but not even just that, those components of it. It was like of every bit of who I thought I was. And so I just kept, leaning into this letting go. And I'm not going to lie, though, there were times I thought I was either crazy or I should stop. I mean, who would do this to their family? What kind of person was I? But somehow or another, I learned, I just felt like if I let go of this, it will be better. And it was. I don't know how I paid for all the things that I did that year. I ran 2 households, paid for certifications in cash, didn't take on any debt. Sold my house, had a realtor come out of the blue. And at that time, the signal that I was going to get to know that I was on track was angel. So anybody who came into my life to help, they would say, oh, it's okay, we got this, angel. Or, oh, this person, he'll help you, he's an angel. And so that's how I would know I was on track, and so if I heard that, it was okay. So you're right, there's a big difference in the energy of letting it all go and losing it all. But I think that both of those create stress for us, just maybe even the same. But letting it go is better.
Well, and what's really interesting about it, I am a late bloomer when it comes to all of this. And people, comment to me all the time about, how did you learn all this? How did you know how to bring this kind of message to the world through radio? You know what? I was learning as I was going.
Right.
And I think that's what you're saying too.
Yes.
You're learning as you're going, right?
I did. I would make time to sit down and at that time, to really understand my intuitiveness, I would automatic write. So I would go out in nature, and every day I would ask a question, and then I would just automatic write and get the answer. And that's how I started building trust in what I was doing. And then, of course, having confirmation, like my house selling well, and for the asking price that I wanted, and just all these other things that were happening. It just seemed like everything was as kind and loving as it could be for someone who was letting go of everything. And then, to add to that moment, I thought, great, I have this mentor and I'm learning so much from him. And I love that he's so love-based in the world. He ends up dying all of a sudden in 2012. And I'm like, what, universe, what's wrong? And so that just, you have these shaky moments where you're going, wow, really? Now I don't even have support in the world. Yeah. So it's not easy. The whole journey in 2012 was so rocky at times. But I can look back at that time and high five that version of me that just kept digging in and being courageous and going.
Yeah. Isn't it interesting? Both of us have had mentors that, different trajectories of what we learned and studied, but both of us have had mentors that died suddenly. Oh. And, I could not understand that at first. Yeah. I could not understand that. And later on, I just came to see that she had done everything that she was called to do and that she wanted to do in this lifetime. And I remember her being so at peace, but it was me. I didn't want her to go. What am I going to do now? How did you rise up from that?
Yeah, it was really heartbreaking. I remember sitting with a group of us, and the guy that I mentioned earlier who had walked into the Toastmasters meeting and had introduced this to me. And by that time, we had become really good friends. I remember looking at everybody just with tears in my eyes as we're at this gathering. It was probably in July of that year. And I said, okay, great. Now I had to give up Tom. What else do I have to give up to be who I'm really supposed to be? And I just started sobbing, because I couldn't believe that all of the faith and all of the steps I was taking was leading me to so much pain. I just couldn't get it, And of course, people would sit across from me and it just broke their heart because they were a little bit farther on the path. And so they knew that this was part of it, right? We call them the dark nights, or, those points where you really have to dig in and figure out, what is it you want to stay with? And who are you? And so they knew it was part of the journey, but you can't really tell someone at that point in time, oh, honey, it's going to be fine. You're going to look back on this time. It's going to be great. No. So they were so compassionate and so loving, and they just were there. They didn't say anything. They just held the space for me to break down. And I did several times between that time and the end of the year. But when 2013 rolled around, I had so many beautiful synchronicities and opportunities come up where I could leave my engineering job and go and start working for a health and wellness company as a coach, and then also rent on a per use basis a massage room to start doing past life regressions and hypnosis. So everything started working out really beautifully.
I often think back to a few years. You know how we can pinpoint those pivotal years, right? I can pinpoint 2008. where I was my body was at the worst in my own healing journey, the worst it had ever been. I literally was looking at a wheelchair. My cells had stopped working. And my partner at the time just one day walks in and says, "I'm called to be alone." And, when you think it can't get any worse, it does. But there is an upside to the downslide. And when we come back, what happens when we look at how to take that courage, that grit, those things, all of the things that we thought we didn't have within us, at those moments where we're being challenged to rise up, where do we find that thing that is so deep within, so really, really powerful? And what is Janice doing now to infuse that in all the folks she works with? Let's take a short break. We'll be right back.
Tune into the wisdom of your soul for guidance on living a joyful life. On Soul Wisdom Radio, Wendy will provide inspiration to raise your vibration and connect with your higher self and guides. Learn how to balance your ego and to progress spiritually on Soul Wisdom Radio with Wendy Rose Williams. Visit wendyrosewilliams.com or Transformation Talk Radio to learn more about a healing session with Wendy and her events and publications.
The Truth is Funny. Shift Happens with Colette Marie Steffen is excited to welcome Karen Benton as a monthly guest host. Tune in on the third Wednesday of each month at 8 a.m. Pacific Time to regain confidence and trust in your capacity to create change in your life, your health, your family, and your well-being. Karen Benton is a mother, nurse practitioner, certified body talk practitioner, Franklin Method instructor, and owner of Limitless Living LLC. For more information about Karen, visit KarenBenton.com.
On the cutting edge of the new mainstream, Christine Upchurch is passionate about bringing together science, psychology, and spirituality in a way that can be applied to our everyday lives for true transformation. The Christine Upchurch Show, stellar conversations to illuminate your journey, engages some of the most outstanding visionaries on the planet in lively dialogue to inspire you to become that bright light you're meant to be. Join Christine every Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific Time on KKNW, AM 1150, and Transformation Talk Radio.
Did you know that all of the shows on the Transformation Radio Network are available as podcasts to stream or download?
Really?
Check us out. Go to transformationradio.fm. We have business shows, spiritual shows, energy healing shows, and pretty much everything in between. Something for everyone, guaranteed to inspire, educate, and transform. We are transforming the world, one listener at a time.
Get ready to experience Truth Talk Radio with host Deb Acker. Tune in to Truth Talk Radio each Wednesday at 3 p.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com to illuminate the truth in your daily life as you experience life, love, and abundance from a whole new perspective. This hit show will leave you feeling lighter and bring you into a place of infinite possibilities every day in every way. Visit TruthTalkRadioshow.com for upcoming transformative topics and guests.
Tune in each month to Synergenetic Living Radio, where Rick and Grace Paris discuss the synergenetic way of life, what it means to truly change your perspective in life, what it means to take control of your life and manifest your true desires. For more information on Rick and Grace Paris and Synergenetic Living, check out synergeneticliving.com. Get clear on the life you desire and the current life you are creating and what is between the two. Synergenetic Living, living life loud.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. I'm Dr. Pat, Janice Underwood joining me here today. And of course, you can go to janiceunderwood.com, find out more about her, about her radio show, and all of the above. You know, we're talking about her journey, the journey when you go from the self-questioning, then self-awareness, then reaching out for help, then losing it all, then looking at what guidance will bring to your doorstep, and then again, courage comes a-knocking. Just when you think you're down and out and you're not quite sure how you're going to get yourself up. Janice, I mean, this is a country western song or something.
It really is. Yeah. So, and I'm going to tell you, that wasn't even it, right? So I'm thinking, great. I'm like transitioning from engineering into this health and healing place. And of course, then I have another mentor who I'm getting a certification through her for past life regression therapy. She's ill and gets moved away from Austin to Washington. And I hardly ever see her again. And she's, her family is taking care of her. I'm like, what gives? You give me mentors and then you take them away from me. So it just seemed like, while there was a really beautiful start to my new career in 2013, I eventually just bottomed out financially at the end of 2013. I mean, I ran out of money. Okay. And I was always the provider in the family. And that was the darkest time. I even lost my voice in that time. I just couldn't talk. And so it was a really, really dark place for me, because I thought, wow, I went through all this transition. But the light I had was I had someone in my life who had been on not the same journey, but they knew what the journey was all about. And they were really supportive. And so they said, that's okay. We got this. Just keep going into the dark. And I went, you have got to be kidding me. But in that loving time, I just kept going deeper and deeper and deeper until I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't do anything. But what happened was, in just following that path for a few months, it was probably about 3 months, I could start understanding who I really was. So that sounds a little weird, right? But it did. It just allowed me to get rid of all the masks I had of being an engineer and the best mom ever and, whatever. And just really be a human, like a soul who was broken down. And that was the first time in my life I think I've ever been that vulnerable. And what I've learned is that vulnerability oftentimes leads us to courage naturally. Well, it does, because that's all we have sometimes. And so one day I could make it down the stairs from bed, and I decided that I was going to start being courageous. And the most my courage get me that day was to go and get a little bucket with some water and a sponge. And I went and I just cleaned a very small closet bathroom, the floor. That's all I did. And then I went back upstairs and went to bed. But every day I kept getting up and doing more of the floor, because every time that I would move my body and every time I would spend that silent time with myself and just cleaning the floor, it seemed like I was recovering more of myself. Yeah, it was a pretty magical time.
Well, and really what we're talking about here, though, is how to look at the future and know that whatever you're going through in the present doesn't set a precedence that you can create. I mean, isn't that the life creator system?
It is. Yes, it is. And it's taken me many years to get to the point where I can say, I remember I did a meditation last year when I asked for this message to get out there in a different way. And I was very open in how it was going to happen. And I had to type really fast, but the words that came to me were this, and I could really feel the vibration of them, that I knew that I was a divine expression of my creator here. That I knew. And that I knew because of all of other layers of this journey. And so one of the things that I knew at that time too, and even before then, I mean, what really kept me going was being of service to people. I had to dig into what that would mean. And I didn't want anyone else to feel so wayward and lost if I could help it, because I know it's all part of our journey now. I mean, it was a fun, like, I'm just going to make sure nobody suffers. Well, we all have to suffer through our journey, but I wanted to make it as easy as I could on people, as loving and kind, like that person who loved me and who was kind to me when I bottomed out. I wanted to be that person for other people. And that's what I do in the Life Creator System. I help people hold their current perception, their current reality, and I gently help them recover what they feel is their truth, is their soul, and then we gently move it out into their world.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about this system.
Yeah. Here is what I love about this conversation with you. It is being at a place that people are listening right now where they may not see a way, but to know there is a way. To know that, when you share your story, Janice, you're sharing a story that isn't coming from a textbook. The story is coming from, a journey that had its ups and downs, had its openings and closings, had its high days, its low days. But in the end, it was about the truth of who you are and the guidance and direction that you were willing to listen to for you to get there. See, because, if we're not willing to listen to the guidance and step out, then I don't think the universe lets us go that easy.
I agree wholeheartedly, which is why I love telling people experiment with this, because you will get the answer. The universe is so kind and loving. It will not let us, if we're listening, it will not let us falter. It will tell you, hey, wait, you're not ready for that. It's loving and kind. I love this. So being able to be a guide and helping people understand that they can put those questions out there and have it answered, that's so important on this journey. So they don't get lost. So they don't get so confused and overwhelmed and maybe even get, misguided. And so, yeah, I love that you're saying that, because that's exactly why my work exists, is for that reason.
Yeah. Yeah, I was still thinking about the question you asked earlier in the show, where you said, did you ever go to a bookstore and then this book calls you? And I was thinking about that. And I remember doing exactly that. And now that you brought it up earlier, I'm thinking it's like it's talking to us. Every day I get things like that are helping me, that are guiding me. Do you?
Mm-hmm. I do, yes. In preparing for the radio show, for example, I was asking specific questions about the radio show, like what should I be talking about, and da-da-da-da-da. And I got a colleague out of the blue saying, hey, I'm supposed to tell you da-da-da-da-da. And it was right after a meditation where I'm like, oh, you just need to be your authentic self, your real authentic self, more authentic than you've ever been, And she's like, hey, I just got a thumbs up from the universe. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. And so, yeah, I get it from everywhere. I get webinars in my email. I get the same message in newsletters. It's hilarious. I always laugh. I'm like, okay, I heard you.
Well, when we think about looking at our future, and let's take a moment to think about the future, if we could.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I went through phases in my life where I read books about be here now, the power of now, don't step out there in the future. I'm trying to think of all the things, right?
Yeah.
And what I realized is I don't know that I bought into that in the way that I understood it. Now, I'm not saying that I understood it correctly, right? Because I'm very clear I didn't. But what I was so focused on is how to be in the present as you create your future. How to be fully present as you create your future, as you envision it. And I want to ask you, how do you envision your future? What will Janice Underwood do? What is your passion, your purpose, as you take that next step in your life?
Yeah, my passion and purpose is to send this message out of our ability to co-create with our environment and in collaboration with the universe and energy. That is my passion right now. And I am doing it in as more ways than I ever have. But I think that it's so important for people, especially as the times are a-changing. And 2018 is going to be calling so many more people to be courageous and to speak from their truth, because we need that vibration out there more and more.
Last question. Talked about a lot today. I know that I've seen what you can create in a really short period of time. I've gotten to work with you very closely and have just been in awe about the expansive nature of your consciousness. What do you want to hold forward for our listeners today? What would you like to leave them with? Your personal message? purpose, passion, and just pure dialogue for people, what would you like to do and say today?
Yeah, I want to tell them that I see them. I see the soul within them, and I know that you are a divine expression, as such a unique energy signature on this planet, and you are here for a reason. And that's why I commit my life to helping you co-create in this world. So keep going, keep digging, go after that soul essence that you know is there, and shine it brightly out into the world.
Thank you, Janice Underwood, everyone. I'm Dr. Pat, and to all of you out there, we hold the space for the expansive nature of who you are. Any way we can support you, we're there. I hope you know that you're very, very important to all of us, and we thank you so dearly. Happy 2018.
Lights go out and I can't be saved. Tides that I tried to swim against pulled me down upon my knees. Oh, I beg and please, singing, come out of things unsaid.
The preceding audio was via a Skype call.